I listen to Ivy League Stanford students interview billionaire Oprah Winfrey, and here's the three things she recommends everyone do if you want to create more success in your business and in your life. Stick around until the end, and I'm going to share with you which one of these three made me the most success in 2024. Starting off with number one, Oprah recommends that we be authentic. She emphasized this with so much detail that I couldn't help but hear it in everything she said. Oprah talks about how when she was getting into her career and she was beginning to become the woman that we see today, she was getting into TV broadcast, she was getting into radio, that ultimately her bosses and the people around her were constantly trying to push her into a box that she didn't feel she belonged in. They were trying to tell her that you should just simply do this. You need to only report the news, Oprah. And if anyone knows Oprah's story, she would report the news and she would see what she would see. So she would go to a place where maybe there was a fire at the house, and she would talk to the person about their fire. And afterwards, Oprah would come back later that night and she would be delivering blankets and giving food and checking in on the people. She didn't feel comfortable just reporting and then walking away. And oftentimes, this would get her in trouble with her employers, with her bosses. They would say, you cannot keep going back out. You cannot keep utilizing resources. We need you over here. But it wasn't in alignment with who Oprah was. Oprah said that something in her resonated when she was able to deeply connect with these people. And if you've ever watched the Oprah Winfrey Show, you see it there. She connects with her guest. In fact, one of the biggest things was when she would bring guests on. The reason we all fell in love with that show is because she authentically wanted to be there. She wanted to be having those conversations. She wanted to connect with the individuals that were sitting in front of her. It wasn't just a money grab or an attention grab or an eyeball grab. It was the fact that Oprah said, I'm curious about this topic. I want to know more. I want to talk to you. I want to understand where you're coming from. And this is what allowed her throughout the years to be able to sit down with some of the greats, people like Nelson Mandela, people like Beyonce. Oprah's been able to sit down with even people that you would think, no way Oprah would ever sit with them. She sat down with people who were child molesters and murderers because she said, I want to be able to understand what would cause a person to do this. I want to be able to know so that we can help protect other people, so that we can grow from this. And this isn't something that we're just pushing under the rug. And so all this to say, Oprah recommended to the entire class at Stanford, the top graduates, that as you step out into the business world, as you step out into your life, become authentic and start to know who you are. It's important that you develop a spiritual practice and that you connect back to you. And Oprah said this. She said when they would hire people, a part of the interview process wasn't just what are your capacity. A part of the interview process was what does your spiritual practice look like? And if a person would respond with saying, oh, well, I'm not very religious, Oprah would say, what does that have to do with the question I asked you? I asked you, what does your spiritual practice look like? What I'm trying to understand is how are you connecting back to you? How are you connecting back to your consciousness? Because from that place is where she's been able to create. And she says what she's learned over the years of talking and interviewing with the world's greatest leaders, presidents, thought leaders, spiritual leaders, business leaders, is that these people that we see as the top of the top are all operating from the deepest sense of truth and authenticity, that these people have found a way to connect back to their higher selves. And that although they are physically here on earth, they are staying connected to their higher self, regardless of what their religion is, regardless of what their spiritual belief and the terminology, if it's Buddha, or if it's Jesus, if it's Christianity, or if it's whatever it may be. It didn't matter. She said, as long as these people had a spiritual practice and they were coming back to their authentic truth. So number one, be authentic. Connect back to you. And if you are having trouble trying to figure out what this means, just simply think about this. If I left you alone on a deserted island by yourself, what are the things you would desire independent of other people interrupting you, interfering with you, or feeding you a thought process? What do you want for you? You came here with a desire, with a mission, with something on your heart. When's the last time you checked in with your own heart on what you desire? Number two is be intentional. This was major to me because a lot of people know I love intentionality. In fact, one of my favorite compliments that I ever receive is when somebody says, Marlon, my favorite thing about you is that you're super intentional, that you don't just do things halfway, that you actually think things through, you understand what you want to get from a situation. I love that. And it's hard to be intentional if you don't know who you are and what you want. This is why I started off with authenticity. So, with being intentional, Oprah mentioned that she got to the point in her show, in her career, where more and more people were wanting to come on. So guests were lining up. She's getting these people that are submitting to come onto the show, and the producers. She didn't run the Oprah show yet. She was still just basically an employee, a high-paid employee, a famous employee, but an employee nonetheless. She didn't control the network as of yet, and so because she didn't control the network, it wasn't her agenda being pushed. And so what was happening earlier in her career, she speaks about one guest that she had come on. It was three people actually. It was a husband, his wife, and his girlfriend. And so on the show, the husband tells his wife that he got his girlfriend pregnant. And the crowd is just like, I mean, gasp. I mean, the air is sucked out of the room. And in that moment, Oprah says she looked at the wife and she just saw how humiliated this woman was. I mean, on national television, your husband just announces to the world that he got his girlfriend pregnant. And, the husband, why is he even on the show? Why did all three of them even agree to come on? Well, they were asked to come on. And this is when he's announcing to her that, hey, I got this woman that I'm cheating on with pregnant. And so it killed Oprah to see that her platform was being used to hurt somebody like that. I mean, this woman, the embarrassment, the shame, all the things now being publicly viewed to the entire world. And so that didn't sit well with her. And what was interesting was, she had a second episode, an episode that came out right after. It was either right after or right before, but these episodes were back to back, where she was interviewing a member of the Ku Klux Klan, so the KKK. And what was interesting is, as she's going and she's asking them the questions, in Oprah's mind, she's thinking like, all right, awesome. Like, I'm gonna stand up for the Black community. I'm gonna have this interview. They're gonna have to answer my questions. And they're answering the questions, they're doing the interview. And she notices when they go on commercial break that she looks in the audience and it's other members of the Ku Klux Klan. And she's seeing that they're kind of gesturing to each other and smirking and laughing. And she's realizing, holy crap, like, I'm being used right now. Like, my platform is being used. And she even said years later, she had those same, the people that she interviewed from the KKK, she had them come back and she asked them about that. She was like, hey, back then when we first did that interview, was I being used? And they said, yes, like, these guys are older now and they don't care. They're sharing the secrets. And they said, absolutely. We were able to come on there and we used that to promote our agenda. And the reason I'm telling you these stories is because what Oprah realized is her producers were bringing people on and there wasn't a deep intention. The intention was just, let's get some eyeballs. They didn't care. This is during like the Jerry Springer era, where there was a lot of conflict on television. And so they wanted to create more conflict-driven television. And Oprah's like, that's not what I'm out here for. That's not what my platform is meant to be used for. That's not a part of my mission. And when's the last time you stood up for your mission? When's the last time you were like, this is not a part of what I stand for? I'm not doing it this way. I'm not doing the business this way. I'm not doing life this way. So Oprah started being way more intentional. And she said to the directors, listen, this platform will not be used for anything outside of empowering people, raising the frequency of people, raising the vibration of the world. And so if you're going to bring anybody onto this show, if you're going to bring anybody here to be interviewed, I need to know and understand what is the intention behind us having a conversation with them. She said, I will not sit and talk with a single person until you can tell me the fully thought out intention behind it. Intentionality. She said, when we started doing this, massive spikes in viewership, massive spike in the sort of retention people were having and the way they were engaging with the content and the way they were engaging with the show and the way they were engaging with Oprah. And this is what allowed Oprah to even more deeply begin to truly connect with the world in the way that she did. It was intentionality. And what's funny is you can do this in any place that you're at. You don't need a primetime TV show. Right now, you and I talking and connecting through YouTube. I'm very intentional about what I'm doing here. I want this content on YouTube to be able to raise the frequency of anybody that's watching. It's, as you're listening to this, not only are you gaining good information from listening, but I make it a point that before I get on these episodes, before I get in front of the camera, I bring my own vibration up. I bring my own frequency up. I jump, I dance, I sing, I smile. I do all the things so that you can feel my energy through the lens. I'm okay if I start getting sweaty up here, all of that, because I want to make sure that you're catching the best vibration that I can possibly give out. And I want to improve the content of the world. I want to improve the vibration of the world and raise the frequency of the world, just like what Oprah's doing. That's why I resonate with her so much. And so being intentional about what you're creating, being intentional about where you are in your business. If you're maybe flipping real estate and you're flipping houses, are you just flipping it to make money? Which, if you are, whatever, that's cool. Just know that, be intentional. Or are you there actively saying, no, I'm actually changing the neighborhood. I'm creating more home ownership in the neighborhood so that families can raise their kids and kids can have safe homes to live in. What is your intention? What's the deeper why behind what you're doing? It's not just about what you're doing, it's the why behind what you're doing. You've heard this before, and it's a little cliche, but it's very true. Your why should be so powerful, so impactful that it makes you cry. Your why should be felt, because when you understand why you're doing what you're doing, you show up with way more purpose. You show up, you have the capacity to impact people at that point. Moving over to the last piece, trust your intuition. So Oprah spoke about trusting your intuition as that little still voice that's inside of you that ultimately points you in the right direction. And she said, you've got to learn how to trust your intuition even above your logic, because her career path, it didn't make logical sense. When she was first getting into radio and then she started to get into TV broadcasting, what happened was she was offered a salary of $10,000 a year, which, you know, back then she felt like she was on top of the world. She's a college student making $10,000. This is the mid 1990s or 1900s. And what's happening is she's beginning to excel. She's doing good. She gets a job offer that would pay her $40,000 a year. So, I mean, if she thought she was living good as a black woman in the middle of the 1900s, making $10,000 a year, $40,000, I mean, like she's basically rich, like she is wealthy. At 40,000 in her early 20s, her young 20s. However, she had a feeling that she wasn't supposed to go yet. She wasn't supposed to move and take that job and take that raise, that it wasn't the right time. And so, although everyone in her life was saying logically, this is what you should do. Logically, Oprah, you went to college for this. You went for college to be able to get a job like this. Logic all said, go and take the job, take the money, take the raise. Intuition, her gut feeling, that little voice inside her said, no, it's not the time. Ask yourself, when has that little voice spoken to you and said, this is what you should do or this is what you shouldn't do? I've had that voice speak to me, and I live in Arizona now as a result of that voice telling me to pack up your car and move across the country. And guess what? Nowadays, everyone looks and says, like, yeah, Marlon, that was one of the best decisions you've ever made. You've become friends with multimillionaires. You're friends with billionaires now. You're well connected. You get to travel the world. You live the life you want to live. Yeah, but do you know when I heard that travel across Arizona, when I got that message, I had less than $3,000 in my bank account? I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have any pipeline profits. I didn't have any money coming in. I was down to my last $3,000. I had no job and I was still trying to figure out how to make this business work. Kidding me? Logic said, sit your butt at home, stay with your mom, and continue to figure out how to raise money, maybe even go get a job. But my gut said, if you don't leave, you will always spend the rest of your life wondering, what if? I got you. Trust me. My gut was saying, trust me. You've got to learn how to trust yourself. You are your own guide. You are the best tour guide, right? Like, God built you with this internal emotional GPS that will take you to what your heart desires. If anyone's ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean, you know Jack Sparrow, he gets that compass, right? The compass, it doesn't point north. What's it point to? It points to whatever is on your heart, the thing you desire the most. And so internally, your intuition is effectively, it operates the exact same way. Whatever is biggest on your heart, if you're quiet enough and you listen it will point you to where you want to be. And there are some times where you're working on something right now, and it's not that this is uncomfortable. It's no, you hate this thing. Like you're doing something that you do not love. Guess what? It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change. And now, you've heard people say when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I mean, that's a lie. You're going to work. Like there is work to be done. There is hard work. But think about it this way. Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, these guys are athletes. And, the late Kobe Bryant, like they work their butts off. Absolutely no one could ever say they don't. But do you think they looked at it as like we're grinding away? Right? Like, do you think LeBron thinks he is out there just like grinding away until he eventually gets to do what he wants to do? Or do you think he looks at the work of becoming the best basketball athlete, of going out and building his business, of going out and learning how to become a better father, a better performer, a better businessman, a better community leader, a better spiritual leader, all the things he's doing? Do you think he looks at it as this is the work I want to do? Not that I have to do. This is the work I want to do because it's a part of the life that I want to have. We're in the want business. Like Steve Harvey always used to say, he's like, I'm not in the need business. I'm in the want business. I want what I want. He's like, I serve an infinite, powerful God, right? He's already given me everything I need. And he told me, right? We've all been told that we can now ask for what we want. So allow yourself to want what you want and trust your intuition, your internal, your emotional GPS to get you there. Now, I told y'all if you stuck around till the end, I would tell you which one of these three made me the most success in 2024. And believe it or not, it's going to be the authenticity. And here's why I start with the authenticity and say it. The authenticity allowed me to be intentional, and it allowed me to trust my intuition. Because if you don't know who you are, it's very difficult to decide what it is you want. And if you don't know what you want, that internal GPS, it can't take you to where you want to go, right? Like that's like having the GPS. It's like trying to say, GPS, take me home, but you don't know what your address is. You have to be able to give it your address. So starting off with the authenticity, getting to know yourself is the most important work you will ever be able to do. And this is why it's my favorite thing to do when I work with people. I was doing a coaching call earlier this week. I have a community. By the way, you are all welcome to join into my community. It's absolutely free. I host it on the School platform. So if you guys want, I'm going to put it in the description down below. I have a community on School where it's for entrepreneurs who are earning between $10,000 and $50,000 a month who want to continue to grow this. They recognized, oh my gosh, I can only ever level up my earning. I can only level up my life and success based on how much I level myself up. And so now they're in that stage where they're ready to begin leveling up their mindset. They want to connect with other people. And so we get together. I do weekly trainings inside there. It's an amazing time. So if you guys want, go ahead and click that, because we were on the call and we were talking about knowing yourself. We were talking about going deep and understanding and doing that shadow work and understanding who are you, right? Like I've had to do that shadow work myself, and I still do that shadow work. It's not a one and done. This is why it's a community. This is why we're constantly getting together. This is why I do masterminds, and I will have people and they'll come out here to Arizona and they'll spend the weekend with me, and we'll get to know each other intimately, and we'll go through breath work. We'll go through meditation. We'll go through exercises where we're sitting down and we're peeling back the layers, and we expose the truth with a capital T. And sometimes during those sessions, I can get pretty raw with people, and it almost feels like I'm attacking them, but it's because I want to peel back all the bullshit. I want to peel back all the garbage, and let's get to the truth. Let's get to who you actually are. Because when you start to discover who you actually are, what happens is you stop chasing, you put down all the stuff that doesn't matter to you. You stop chasing all that crap. And when we talk about success, see, the issue is we've been taught to measure success with there's a handful of tools or measurement vehicles, right? We measure success with money. We measure success with material. We measure success with accolades. We measure success with likes and thumbs up on our pictures and on social media. And all that stuff is great. They're all great tools to a degree to measure a portion of success. But truly, it's internal. But how do we define success? And Earl Nightingale gave this definition. He said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. that if you're going after something in life because you desire that thing, if you're going after being a school teacher because you desire being a school teacher, if you're going after becoming a real estate agent because you want to be a real estate agent, maybe you love baking cookies and so you open up a bakery and that's what you're doing with your life right now. And you might have friends who own McLarens and they've traveled around the world and they got every Rolex that's ever come out and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars, but you are happy as hell baking cookies. That's what you should be doing. You don't need to go do the other things because success is the progressive realization. And really, I should say success is your progressive realization of your worthy ideals. Success is my progressive realization of my worthy ideals. See, God didn't put me on earth so that I can be a copy of someone else. He didn't make me a copy of you. He didn't make you a copy of me. Although you and I are on the same frequency, and that's why we're having this conversation right now. That's why you're watching this video and you're so deep into the video right now, is because you know somewhere deep in your heart that you are special and that you are made unique and you are a one of one, that there is literally no one else like you. There has never been someone like you. There will never, ever be anyone like you ever again. You are a one of one. And so it's up to you to live into that. It's up to you to be authentic and discover what is that truth. Who are you? And so again, guys, if you need help figuring that out, come hang out with me. Like I'm constantly pulling back layers and layers and layers of other people to figure out who they are because I love connecting with people authentically. And here's the fun part. It gets easier and easier and easier for me to see when a person's lying because I'm constantly discovering my own truth. And what happens is when you start to become, right? Like Oprah said this, she said, you'll never get anything in your life that you are not first. You have to become whatever you want in your life. You have to become that thing first. Things can only come to you. You can only get what you are. You can only ever get what you already have. You can only ever give what you already have. This is so fascinating. So if you can only get, give, and be what you already are, when you start to hang around people who are already authentic, who are already truthful, who are already more and more self-aware, what happens is those people are going to look at you and they're going to be able to tell, hey, you've got a mask on. I can't tell you what you're lying about. I just know until I hear the truth like that, like something in me, my guard's up saying, you still got a mask on. You're lying about something. Sometimes you don't even know what you're lying about. Sometimes you don't even know you have the mask on. You want to get yourself around people and you think about this in your life. You probably have met some of these people and they have a different aura about them. They got a different vibe about them. This is how Oprah was able to resonate and get so much truth out of people, is because she was constantly pulling her own truth out of herself. When we start to live that way, we start to unlock other people. So if you want to continue to live that way and or if you want to start living that way, you want to start to understand yourself better, then come hang out with us. Come be a part of the school community. Go and click that link below. And by the way, it's a free community. You don't even need to put your credit card. It's not even like a trial community. Like it is a totally free community that we are engaging with each other. We are having these kinds of conversations, and I'm doing these private coaching calls inside there. And I don't know how much longer, by the way, I'm going to be able to do that. You might already be watching this in the future, and it might be to the point where like I can't do that. I don't have the time to do it anymore. But if you are lucky enough to be watching this while I'm in there currently, come and be a part of those conversations, because the people that show up to those conversations as well, they're just like me and you. They are constantly peeling back their layers and they're making it easier. We're all growing together. What do they say? A rising tide lifts all ships. So if you guys got value at all from this video, be sure to smash that like button, especially if you're new here. If you are new here and this is your first video that you've ever watched with me, drop a comment and let me know, what do you think about this? I always love meeting the new people. I make it a point in my schedule right now. It's not a VA. It's not an assistant. It's no one else. It's me going through those comments and responding and having a conversation. So drop a comment if you're brand new here. Let me know what you think about the channel, and be sure to subscribe, because we are consistent. I am making a promise to you that I'm going to continue to put out content on this YouTube channel, that this YouTube channel, while I am breathing, is going to grow, and it is going to be like-minded people. It is going to be the most valuable content on mindset, on personal development, on yourself that I can possibly create and that you can possibly find on YouTube. And the fact, again, that you are watching this means you and I, we're on the same frequency, and we're going to keep raising this frequency higher and higher and higher. So guys, I love you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.